Before we can begin our pastel project, we're going to experiment with some chalk pastel techniques. And the end result should look something like this. We're going to be testing out blending, layering, scumbling, tints and shades, and the difference between drawing with the side of your chalk pastel and the edge, or the tip. To begin off these technique sheets, we're going to label them before we touch our pastels so we don't get our pencils all dirty. And my sheet is black just so the pastel shows up better for y'all. At the top, I'm going to label it blending. Then the next one, layering. And you're going to want to set it up on your paper just like this so you have enough space to put each thing in between. Scumbling. Down here, if you have space, I put tip versus side. For your other half sheet, we're going to label it tints and shades. Down here, there's not going to be that much space down there. You're going to label it drawing with tip versus side. And I'm going to set aside this sheet and just show you the first one. Now we can put aside our pencil and begin. And I want you guys to follow along with me as best as you can. You're going to choose out of your pastel set 2 colors. And you don't have to choose the same colors that I choose. I'm just going to choose whatever I feel. Okay. For the first one, we labeled it blending. And that means we're going to take 2 colors for this example and blend it together. So I'm going to take mine, put it on its side. Oops. Take the pastel and I'm going to scrape it across the paper. Oops, that was too forceful. And then I'm going to take my second one and scrape it this way. And this is where it gets messy. I'm going to use my finger, but there's some of you that may choose just to use a paper towel and blend it out, but I don't really care about the mess, so I'm going to use my finger because chalk pastel can always be washed off with water. So I'm taking my finger or paper towel and smoothing it into the paper, and when I get to the middle, I'm just going to go like this, trying to blend the 2 colors together. And you should get a gradient-like effect. And just keep working it until you see it is blended together. And I have a paper towel next to me that's kind of dampened, and I'm going to just wipe off my finger. And it's fine. Now I'm going to put these two back into my little tray. And the next one is layering. I'm going to choose 3 colors to layer together. I'm going to choose a yellow, orange, and red. And you guys can choose different colors. So I'm going to start off my first layer and scrape it across the whole length of your sheet. Then I'm going to take my second color and start it about right here. So it's going to cover 2/3 of this yellow I just put down. Then I'm going to take my third color and start it right there. And it's going to cover 1/3 of the 2 layers I just put underneath. And that's how you can layer chalk pastels, and each layer you can still see the first one. So just peeking through, you get this really pretty like painterly effect. If you want to see all the colors that you've been putting in your chalk pastel project, then layering is the way to go. Blending, it would just blend the colors together. So like if I took my finger and wiped all that together, it would either become like an orange or a red. It would be like an orangey red. So I'm going to take these, put them back in their place. Wipe my fingers. And I'm going to choose another color, just because I want my testing sheet to be pretty colorful. Doesn't really matter. And so I'm going to take this color, and right down here, remember we put tip versus side, and for the scumbling technique, it's just taking your pastel, and instead of just going in like one straight line, you go in little circles. And it creates this textured effect. So on the tip side, I'm going to put it up like this. Instead of going like that. Just holding it like that. And I'm going to start going in and adding little curly cues. And they don't have to be perfectly in a line. That was just how I started out. But it could be more, less uniform like that. And it just adds texture to your paper. For the side, I'm gonna go like this. And it kind of looks a little bit like the layering, but you still see some loops of texture on that side. Okay. So I'm going to put that back. Maybe wipe off my hands because it's getting a little dirty again. Then we're ready to do our other one. So on this sheet, we're gonna start off with our tints, and something that I forgot to write on the side was tints are made by mixing a color plus white. Shades are made by mixing a color plus black. And if you still have your pencil and you were okay with getting it dirty, I would write these in just because it's helpful. But you're going to have a visual anyways. So I'm going to choose, just for different examples. I'm going to choose 2 colors to show you how to make tints and shades. Over here, I'm gonna be using a blue. And then I'm going to be using an orange, just because they're complementary colors. I thought they would look nice together. And then on my 2 colors, remember tints are made by mixing a color plus white. And kind of like how we did the blending, I'm going to make a gradient. So I'm taking my white chalk pastel and I'm starting really heavy-handed at the top, but I'm getting a little bit lighter pressure as I go on. Then on the orange I'm going to do the same. Heavy-handed, getting lighter as we go on. And it kind of blended itself, but I'm going to go in with my finger and blend it out, just so it looks more gradient-like. Okay. I'm gonna shake off that pastel dust so you can see better. Okay. Let me add a teeny bit more white at the top. Okay. So with our tints, you can see it goes light down to the pure color, light down to the pure orange. For shades, I'm going to take 2 colors again. Thinking, let's see, a red, and a green. And so like 2 complementary colors together. And I'm going to take my black pastel and start at the top, just how I did with the white. Remember, shades are colors mixed with black. So I'm starting heavy-handed at the top, getting lighter pressure as I go on. And I'm going to take my finger and blend these layers together. And the gradient's easier to see with the shades sometimes. Like you can see a better difference. Blending out the red. Okay. And I'm gonna put my little pastel dust, wipe it off, and you can just drop it onto your drop sheet, like by slanting it and tapping it. And then for the last step, it says drawing with tip versus side. And we're gonna choose any color, doesn't matter. I'm gonna choose this one. And what I mean by tip is one of the edges. So like at the tip, if you're holding it like a pencil, that's what I mean. I'm just gonna make a line and a little scribble scrabble next to it. And then it also says versus tip. So I'm versus side. Never mind. Sorry guys. I'm gonna, instead of holding it like this, I'm flipping it sideways. And I'm going to make a line and then a scribble next to it. And you can see it's much wider than using the edge slash tip. And that concludes our testing of pastel techniques. And they should look something like this. And it's just an experiment, so if it doesn't look exactly like this, it's fine. We're just getting a feel for the medium. And you can go and wash your hands or just take a damp paper towel and wipe it off.